welcome back to the tutorial, and let's see how we can achieve the kings to aces effect. So for this trick we will require a setup. So we'll have the 4 kings and the 4 aces all at the top. So we have these 8 cards. So in my scenario I am actually converting the kings to aces. So I will have the 4 aces at the top, and then on top of that I will have the 4 kings, right? So we have the 4 kings and the 4 aces set up just like this. So you can start with a false shuffle if you want, just like I did it in the performance, to throw the spectator out and just it's more of a convincer. If you want to do that, you can definitely go for it. So the one which I used is a Hindu shuffle, a false Hindu shuffle, which can retain the top stock, right, which can retain the top 8 cards just like this. So basically what you do is you can just do a normal Hindu shuffle, but when you do the Hindu shuffle you actually take a break on top of the first half. So for example, in this case what I'll do is I'll just lift the first few cards and continue doing the Hindu shuffle, but I'll also hold a break with my pinky finger on the top of the pile, so that I can separate these from the rest of the cards, right? So basically what I'll do is I'll just lift a few cards, just make sure that all your 8 cards are definitely in them, and then just continue with the normal Hindu shuffle, right? So as you see from the top, it looks like a completely normal shuffle, but you have a small break here. This is quite exaggerated, you don't need this much of a break, but just a small amount of break that separates the top stock from the rest of the cards, right? And when you look at this from the top, it is completely invisible, so they cannot make out that there is any retention that is happening. And the best part about this shuffle is once you do this, you can go ahead with a cut as well. So for doing the cut, you can divide these piles into maybe 2 or 3 cuts, right? So we have these many cards here, so I can divide these easily into 2 or 3 cuts, like 1, 2, 3, and this is the last cut, right? And when you do the last cut, you make sure that all your 4 cards, or 8 cards in this case, are on top. So if I've done my cut and shuffle correctly, I will have all the 8 cards at the top. Yeah, just like this, right? So let me show you once again how to do this Hindu shuffle. So you just lift the top stock, maybe somewhere around 10 or 15 cards, and you just continue doing the shuffle, the Hindu shuffle, normal Hindu shuffle. And once you've done that, you just give a cut, just separate the top cards and make sure that the last pile is placed correctly on the top, and just like that you have retained all the 8 cards, right? So it's not necessary for this trick, but definitely a helpful shuffle that you can do in many other tricks. So yeah, so that's the first part of how to start the trick. So now you can start by showing the 4 kings to the spectator. So I can show all the 4 kings just like this, and this is where the real sleight of hand begins, right? So you have to take a pinky break or separate the top 4 cards, right? So you need to take a break between for the top 4 cards. So in my case, what I did was I did a thumb count, which basically means that if I hold my cards in the mechanics grip and maybe just give it a little pull with my pinky finger right here, and then use my thumb to count 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I counted the 4 cards just like this. It's quite accurate and quite easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, just like this. I counted the 4 cards, right? And if you have a little bit of misdirection as well, so this can be done easily. So if you're talking to the spectator and showing them the 4 cards, you can just quickly count the 4 cards just like this, right? So let me show you. So if I count the 4 cards, if I have counted them correctly, so I have all the 4 cards here, right? And you have a natural break now. So with this thumb count, you also have a natural break because you're pushing these cards downwards, and you have these 4 cards here. So you have this break, and if you and the spectator is viewing from this side, he won't be able to see this. And if you have this pointed downwards towards the table, it's clearly invisible, right? So the angles are not that bad. So the next step you do is you take these 4 cards and place it on the top. But this time, when you lift these cards, you lift it from the point of the brick. So you lift all these 8 cards together. So you lift the 4 kings along with the 4 aces face down, right? So you lift all the 8 cards. If you've done this step, then we move towards the next step. And this is where this is the angle. This is where I think it's a little angle sensitive, because now what you have to do is you have to manage to show the 4 kings to the spectator and then place those 4 aces on the top of the deck. So this is how I achieved it. So basically I hold these 8 cards just like this. It's not a tenkai palm or a lateral palm as such, but you place all these 8 cards firmly at this point between your pinky finger and the ring finger, just like this, and you hold and you use your thumb to hold the other end of the cards, right? So you hold your cards like this. And if you hold this correctly, all these 8 cards, the spectator is not going to be able to view those cards from this angle. So these are good angles, whereas these angles are all bad. And even if the spectator is viewing slightly from the top as well, these angles are pretty good. He cannot view these 8 cards. And it's important they don't see these 8 cards, right? And I'll show you why. Because now what we are going to do is we are going to skim each card, showing the spectator all the 4 kings. So this is 1 king, so here goes the 2nd king, here goes the 3rd king, and finally the 4th king, right? Now the spectator thinks that, yeah, you've placed all 4 kings at the top, right? But he doesn't know that you have 4 more cards right here, the 4 aces. So how I achieved this is by, I just maybe just create a little mess of these cards here and just try to place those 4 cards by trying to square the deck. And believe me, if you do this correctly with a little bit of practice, the spectator won't be able to spot the difference whether you placed 4 more cards at the top, because and that's an illusion, a beautiful illusion, because all these cards have the same back, so it's very difficult to separate that, right? So if you do this, your first half, in fact most of the trick is done, because now you have successfully managed to place the 4 aces at the top, right? So now if I go ahead and place 3 more cards for the second part of the trick, the spectator is going to think that these are the 3 kings, right? Whereas these are not, these are the aces now, and which prepares us for the third part, which is a double lift. You do a simple double lift, any double lift you want. I will leave some links in the description for the double lift. And then here you can do any color change you want, any kind of a color change. It can be a snap change or a paintbrush change, like I did. So I leave a description link in the description for how to do a paintbrush change, because I don't want the tutorial to be too long, right? So if you do the paintbrush change correctly, you're showing the king to the spectator, and all of a sudden it changes into the ace. That was a bad example, so let me try again. So suppose you have a double lift and you have 2 cards here. You just try to maybe just wave it 2 times, and that's it, right? That's it. So you have the ace now. So the spectator thinks, okay, he just changed the king into the ace, but why? Because now what you're going to do is you can just maybe touch these 3 cards and then show that all these 3 cards are none other than the 3 aces right there, right? So that is the basic principle behind how to do the kings to aces effect. So in the performance, I went ahead and converted these aces back into the kings. If you want, you can do that as well, but it's the same thing, right? So again, once you've done that, while the spectator is trying to process this, meanwhile you quickly take a thumb break, just push it with your pinky finger and give a little bit of a pressure, not too much, and quickly take thumb break for 4 cards, right? So you take the thumb break for the 4 kings, and once you take the thumb break, you do the same thing again. which is you place the 4 aces, but this time when you lift up, you lift all the 8 cards, the 4 kings and the 4 aces. You skim the 4 cards, showing the 4 aces once again to the spectator, right? Create a little bit of a mess, and just by on the pretense of actually squaring the deck, you just place all those 4 cards, which are the 4 kings, and just square the deck, and you'll have all the 4 kings now at the top, right? And in this case, instead of doing another paintbrush change, this time I went for, I don't know what it's called. I mean, I just accidentally discovered it when I was doing it. So I just basically lift the 2 cards. Now the spectator is thinking that these must be the 3 aces, whereas these have already been switched for the 3 kings, right? So I take this ace, I just lift my, lift the pack anywhere in the middle, doesn't matter, and place the 2 cards and just swipe it. But when I swipe it, I am just leaving the bottom card, which is the ace, and just taking the king out from the pack, right? So it looks like I just placed the card and took it back, or sometimes it might also look like I placed the ace and took a card randomly from the middle of the deck. It doesn't matter, both the effects are equally convincing and pretty good, right? And you just show the king, and the spectator knows what to expect. He knows that now the aces have been turned back into the kings, right? So this is the basic tutorial for kings to aces. I hope you liked it. I think it's a beginner level trick. You don't have too many sleight of hands here. Maybe a double lift and a color change that you need to learn, but with practice I think you can definitely do it much better and much smoother as well. And yeah, it's a beautiful effect. So I hope you like this tutorial, and I'll be uploading few more tricks as well, and I hope you like them. Please keep supporting me on Ko-fi, and follow Jack of Illusions on Instagram for more amazing content and tricks. So thanks for watching.